In 2022, free-to-play games generated an estimated $167 billion in revenue worldwide, accounting for approximately 71% of the total global gaming revenue. That's over 30 times the size of Fiji's GDP. Compared to this, paid games generated a modest $68.7 billion. The freemium model in the last few years has largely wiped out the market for paid games. Game designers saw an opportunity to use human psychology against gamers so that they could monetize the gameplay. And one way to do that is by applying some fundamental lessons of behavioral psychology. The first thing these games do is set up a virtual currency so that it doesn't feel like you're spending real currency, even though you are.
Spend cash, you feel every dollar that you hand over to someone else. If you just swipe your card, it could be 10,000 or 100,000 and you don't really feel it.
Games add another layer of abstraction to this process. For example, you could pay for skins and stronger weapons with V-Bucks, and you pay for V-Bucks with your credit card, which is already distanced from actual payments themselves. And to top it off, they don't make the exchange rate simple. It makes it difficult to keep track of how much real money you're spending. It's always something weird like 1,000 V-Bucks for $8.99. It's never one for one.
Congrats, man, you won the $1,000.
Let's go. I don't have a PayPal right now, so can you give me like 1,000 V-Bucks?
You'd rather have 1,000 V-Bucks?
Yeah.
So you're using real money to buy fake money to use in a fake marketplace to buy fake stuff. You're really just only buying a piece of code. And it only takes a second because the App Store already has your credit card. The whole payment process is designed to be painless and leads players down a path where spending becomes as reflexes as clicking the next level button. The free-to-play model may not be entirely new, but it has certainly undergone a significant evolution. If you rewind to the golden age of arcades in the mid-70s and 80s, when iconic titles like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong and Tetris dominated the scene, we can begin to trace the roots of today's free-to-play phenomenon. Revenue was originally generated on a per-play basis, though typically shorter, session-based experiences. Each coin dropped into the slot was a ticket to another try, another chance to climb to the top of the leaderboard in your chosen game. Once the game was over, progress was usually lost unless the game had a high-score leaderboard. Once the player ran out of lives or the game's ended, they needed to insert more coins to continue. The downside to this was that for money to be made, gamers had to be physically there at, the arcade. This era laid the foundation for the free-to-play model by introducing the concept of bite-sized gaming experiences, where players could enjoy a few rounds of a game without having to commit to a significant upfront purchase. But as we know, all good things come to an end. The late 1980s saw a seismic shift in the arcade game industry, partly due to market saturation and a drop in the quality of new games. The communal, vibrant arcade halls began to quiet down as the allure of home consoles like the Nintendo offered a new promise, an entire gaming universe right in your living room, away from the jostle and jingle and bright lights and noise of the arcades. The home console era posed a conundrum for game developers. The once steady stream of revenue from arcade visits turned into a one-time transaction.
It's when they're bored they have something to do instead of spending quarters.
You can only buy a console once and a game once. The purchase of a cartridge or a disc marked the end of the financial journey with that customer, unless new games were developed or consoles were upgraded. In this quiet revolution, the seeds were sown for the next chapter of gaming revenue, a chapter that would require creative, even daring new approaches to keep players engaged and spending. When Doom burst onto the scene in 1993, it didn't just push the boundaries, it blew them apart. Created by ID Software, this first-person shooter became not just a game, but a cultural phenomenon, redefining the very essence of interactive entertainment. With its cutting-edge 3D graphics, Doom offered a visceral, immersive world. Gamers weren't just playing, they were inhabiting a realm of heart-pounding action and unparalleled excitement, complete with revolutionary PC multiplayer capabilities and mod support. The game's initial release adopted the brand new shareware distribution strategy, making the first episode, Knee Deep in the Dead, freely available to the public. This was an unprecedented move at the time. You didn't have free-to-play games. Remember, everything was physical. You purchased games on floppy disks or cartridges. Digital games weren't a thing, so free-to-play games weren't free to distribute. meaning the creators of Doom had to buy millions of floppy disks, then print Doom on millions of disks, then ship these disks around the world, spending hundreds of thousands before ever making a dime. This approach allowed gamers to try out the game's first level and reduce the price barrier to entry to zero, maximizing the potential customer base, since the price is as low as it can possibly get.
Is a distribution method, and is primarily a way of distributing full function demo disks. Users are invited to share the full function disks with all of their friends and to use them in the comforts of their home.
This model allowed the game to reach users who might never have considered paying up front for an unknown game, thus expanding the market reach beyond typical gamers to include casual players or those who are risk averse about spending money on games. The shareware model gained widespread adoption, with numerous games from diverse genres embracing this innovative distribution strategy. Games like Duke Nukem 3D, Wolfenstein 3D, and Quake weren't just games, they were titans of their time, offering glimpses into their adrenaline-fueled worlds for free, captivating players and enticing them to dive deeper into their action-packed narratives. The decline of the shareware model began in the late 1990s, which coincided with the rise of online piracy around the same time. As the internet became more accessible, the distribution of software, including games, shifted towards online platforms. This made it easier for developers to sell games directly to consumers without needing a free shareware version to attract attention. It was also harder to pirate. With distribution becoming a lot easier and the blueprint for pay-per-play and shareware already proven, the next step of innovation came in. Nexon was among the first to implement microtransactions in their games with their online multiplayer game Quiz. The game itself was free to play, but Nexon introduced the concept of microtransactions where players could purchase virtual items or benefits. They doubled down with MapleStory, Kartrider, and Dungeon & Fighter, which have made over $24 billion since launching. MapleStory actually was the first to introduce loot boxes in its game, which was inspired by the real-life Gachapon toy dispensers. Nexon pioneered a pretty groundbreaking shift in the gaming world by offering their entire games for free. A distinct evolution from the shareware model, where only the initial levels were available at no cost. This completely free-to-play approach eliminated the traditional barriers that the shareware model still maintained, allowing pretty much unrestricted access to the game's full content. This significantly broadened their player base. The free-to-play model influenced how games were designed, focusing on sustaining player engagement and retention over the long term, thereby nurturing a continuous stream of revenue through microtransactions. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you subscribe. Look, I've played mobile games before, and you know what? I actually enjoyed them. That is right until the point where it becomes almost impossible to continue without some sort of payment. Look, this frustrates me a lot because I'm old school, where you earn your way through the grind and beat the game because you're just that good. What I didn't know was that I was fighting a system that was never designed for me to succeed. I soon realized that these games aren't about skill or strategy, they're intricately crafted to lead players down a meticulously designed path, paved with tempting microtransactions. And even though I didn't pay to play, I still contributed towards the data mining of the games, so that developers could figure out the most optimal time to give out rewards to other unsuspecting players. In the mobile gaming landscape, sadly, the guiding compass for development is not innovation or player satisfaction, but rather the relentless pursuit of profit, with every strategic and design choice tailored to maximize that profitability. Sales strategies should align with the different types of players. You might be familiar with these sorts of gamer types: achievers, who chase achievements and game progression; socializers, who thrive on interaction; killers look for a competitive edge, which converge into pay-to-win territory;
Okay, yeah, be sacking.
and the explorers, who are drawn to stories and experiences.
You sell convenience to the achievers, which really means faster progress, customization to socializers, hats and stuff, competitive advantage, that is pay to win for the killers, and content for explorers.
Real, effective game monetization hinges on balancing diverse player motivations while ensuring the game remains engaging, fair, and financially sustainable. Game developers often utilize a triple H strategy: hook, habit, hobby, to progressively draw players into spending money. Initially, the hook draws the players to try a free-to-play game. This phase involves introducing an irresistible offer, such as Candy Crush offering new players special boosters or extra lives. Such deals, compelling players to make their first purchase, encourages not only financial investment, but also an emotional commitment to the game. This enhances retention and breaks down the mental barrier of, never paying for a mobile game. As players delve deeper, the game becomes a habit. In this phase, players engage in multiple sessions with daily activities and strategic enhancements aimed at speeding up progression and subtly fostering ongoing investment. Eventually, the game evolves into a hobby, becoming a significant part of the player's daily routine. For players who have reached major milestones, like being fully upgraded in Clash of Clans, the focus shifts to consumables that offer continued gameplay advantages, such as faster healing or army build times. I miss the days when you could play a game and work your way to the top with satisfaction. In-game transactions have ruined mobile games and have ruined my former favourite console game, FIFA, or EA Sports FC24 as it's called these days, with the explosion of Ultimate Team. I'm sure there are still some good games out there, and in the spirit of helping out the community, why don't you leave a comment down below with your favourite game that's not ridden with these stupid microtransactions. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.